If it isn't easy and it isn't fun, break up.
Break up.
Break up.
We are struggling so hard to keep this relationship together. It seems every time we turn around there's a challenge, but we're committed to making this work.
If you are intentionally doing that, I would even dare to say it's a sin because you're deceiving the other person. We are really hopeful, we are really expecting, we are really praying, God, please change them. I'm willing to work with them and please help them to change, help them to quit, help them to come out of this, from this bondage, break free from this. I'm willing to wait. But how long are you going to wait? It's an indefinite wait. Oh, I need to set my boundary because I'm not able to breathe, I'm not able to eat, I'm not able to do my chores. None of those things are coming into place. And then you're starting to set boundaries, and the other person is going to feel like, hey, all these days, weeks, months, or maybe even years, you were doing whatever I shared and you were so open. Why are you setting boundaries all of a sudden? Welcome to another episode on Happily Ever After with the Raj family. Today we are going to go through some points from this book, Laws of Dating. It is written by Mike Tucker. It was, I think, released in 2007. It's a very small book, quick read, but very, very, very powerful points. It's like bullet points, and boy, is it deep. And he has written 10 laws in this book, and we would like to share some of the points that we saw and we feel impressed. Now, even though it says Laws of Dating, we didn't read this while we were dating. We read other books. However, we did read after we got married to have an idea. But if you're dating or if you're contemplating to date someone in the near future, this is a very powerful book for you, and we highly recommend it.
Yes, and really, even though we were already married, we could look back and see how these points really made sense in so many ways. So we just want to share and also discuss our perspectives and what we think about it from our experience.
Yeah. So we will skip directly to the chapter that says the laws. Law number 1. If it isn't easy and it isn't fun, break up.
Wow, that sounds like a little against what many times it's thought it should be. Like, we should put the work into the relationship, marriage. It's hard, and actually, it's not about being happy, but being holy and actually, growing in our character. So how come that is law number 1? Like, what does it mean?
If it isn't easy, yeah, right? Because in other words, what he's saying is it should be easy and it should be fun. If you really think about it, it makes so much sense, because why will I want to marry someone that I'm constantly having issues with? My life, I always envisioned having a peaceful life. Yes, I cannot always have a perfect life because we are living in a sinful world, and it is two different people coming together, two different values, two different experiences, childhood experiences, and all of that. And with coming with that, now I'm in a relationship, and if it is going to be constantly, there is going to be issues, it's draining, it's tiring. I am not ready for that. I am not planning to get into a marriage with that type of relationship. So it shouldn't be hard, as in my life shouldn't be always constantly fighting, always trying to figure out, but it should have ease to an extent. So when we both connected initially, we had a lot of things in common. We were able to connect quickly and easily. And of course, it was fun. We had to work in our differences. We had to work in our weaknesses. We had to see where we can come when we both didn't want to give up on what we believed, where we can come to a middle ground. If it is more of a core value and we didn't want to compromise, we would have broken up. But in this case, it was not the case. In this case, it was not the situation. So we both came together, we worked on it, but it was also kind of easy, honestly. Compared to my previous relationships, definitely this is like night and day. It was very easy for me. Of course, we had to put in our work.
Yeah.
And also when it comes to fun, we had a lot of fun. We had our moments, we had our down moments, but majority defines how your future is going to be shaped. Majority, we had fun, we had our moments, ups and downs here and there, but majority, it was fun. What were you about to say, love?
No, something that comes to my mind, and as I was going through like the beginning part, there's a story that a young couple comes to the author and says, "We are struggling so hard to keep this relationship together. It seems every time we turn around, there's a challenge, but we're committed to making this work." And so the author asks, "Why?" And that shocked them. They were like, not sure what to say. And so he asked them, "Why would you work so hard to keep this relationship?" And so he was challenging the couple. What was really the underlying issue? Was it really they needed help to work through things? Or were they trying to forcefully make something work? And then that makes me think of something I like to tell young people now with our experience and going through different relationships. 80% of your relationship should be the good, the things you enjoy, the blessings, the understanding. 20% will always be struggles, differences, things to work on. But if your relationship is 50-50, 50 good, 50 bad, there's an issue there. Either you really see what's the core issue and have it changed, or that might not be the best relationship.
Yeah.
And if it's mostly issues and 20% of it is amazing, well, that's not going to be really the thing. So even now in our marriage, we have our challenges, but I would say 80% of it has been always a huge blessing, a joy, fun. Fun and encouraging. So God did not create relationships to bring us down and be only taking all our energy to try to make that work. The relationship is meant to empower us to do the work that God gave us to do and the purpose. So yes, there will be bumps and there will be things to work on. So it's not all bliss, but it shouldn't be so hard that it detours and hinders you from life.
Yes.
And from joy and from living.
Exactly. You don't stop living just because you are in a relationship, right? It should enhance your joy. It should enhance your happiness and everything. But one foolproof method for you to recognize if you're in a bad relationship, if your relationship is constantly suffering and struggling, is have a pause between you both. You go somewhere, or she goes somewhere, or he goes somewhere, whoever it is. You part ways. You're not breaking up, but you are having like a space.
Giving space.
Yeah, spend time with your friends or with your family, and reduce your conversation or communication to maybe like 10% of what it would usually be. Then you will be able to notice how you feel about the relationship. Is it really good? Are you missing the person? Or you feel like a huge burden lifted off of you. Sorry to say this, but for me, in my past relationship, when my ex-girlfriend broke up with me, I felt like a huge burden was lifted off of me. I felt like so much relief, so much freedom. I felt like I was finally able to breathe. You know full well that that is not the relationship to be in. So I totally agree with this author, this first law. If it isn't easy and it isn't fun, break up.
And again, we just want to make it clear, even a good relationship will not be 100% easy and fun, but that majority should be. It shouldn't be half and half or the majority a struggle.
And also, thank you for pointing that out, because I just remembered we have seen a number of people, we both have seen a number of people when they go through issues, the whole relationship is issues after issues after issues after issues. And then when one party decides to break up, immediately the other one would say, every relationship has issues and everyone works on it, so we need to work on it as well. So no one is without issues, so we also have issues. Let's work on it and we will be able to move forward and God will help us out. While that is true to an extent, it is not the complete truth. And that goes along with what you said. 80% should be enjoyable, having fun, it should be easy, communicating, and all of that. 20% will be there, and you need to work on it. If you don't want any issue at all, then you cannot be in this world. You just might as well be single.
Yeah, yeah. And if you really want to work on things, there should be results coming
Yeah,
out of it. It
yeah.
shouldn't be always the script, well, everyone has issues and, we just have to love each other and forgive each other and use manipulation or victim mentality to
Yeah.
make the other person feel like, you shouldn't be expecting something to bring joy and a blessing into your life because this is supposed to build our characters and make us more like Christ. Yes, God created friendships and our life to be character building, but also we should not move forward with someone when it's all heavy and difficult, because that's not God's plan for marriage. The reason why he created marriage.
Absolutely not. The next law number 2, it says, date only people whom you would consider marrying. And this is something we have shared in some of our previous episodes, like be intentional when you're dating, when you're courting, when you're in a relationship. You need to have the intention of marrying that person. Now, that doesn't mean you have to marry that person, but the intention is to marry the person, and that's why you're dating. Do you have any comments on that, love?
No, I agree with this law, and I think it's almost self-explanatory. If you don't see that person like you would marry them, then don't date them. And I guess now the question comes, especially in the United States, what is dating? Is dating just getting to know someone? Or I guess in this point is if you see someone and you're like, oh, I don't see this person at all, don't consider getting into a relationship with them. You can always, oh, that's not my type, but you can be friends with them and see. But don't keep moving forward or allowing them to move forward with that commitment and connection if you don't see them for more. So be friends with everyone, but be very clear you're not getting into a relationship with those you do not see marrying. So
yeah, like a couple episodes ago, we shared, the title was Stop Doing These Things to Find True Love. In that I shared, I think you also shared about it. Many times people talk and spend time, and you are spending more and more and more time. This is just even in the friendship phase, leading the other person on. And end of the day, or whenever it is, they come and say, oh, actually, I just see you as a brother. I just see you as a sister. I just see you as a friend. And that's the same principle that comes to relationships as well. While you're dating, your intention is to be considering marriage. Would you marry this person? And as you see, as you learn about each other, you get to know about each other, you come to a point where you feel like, okay, this person is not the right person for you. You back off from it. You don't just continue in your relationship thinking, oh, okay, I will just continue because I like the attention, I like this, I like what he's doing, I like what she says, and this and that. There are so many hundreds of excuses to be in the relationship, but that relationship is leading you to nowhere. If you are intentionally doing that, I would even dare to say it's a sin, because you're deceiving the other person.
And God is very clear that we shouldn't play with hearts. Our own hearts, the hearts of others, is not the emotions are a very sensitive thing, and we should be very guarded and very mindful of those things, and not ignore and be like, oh, I don't care. Like, I know where my heart is, so I don't care how others feel. That's something that God really condemns because it's very damaging. So we
Absolutely.
need to be very mindful and considerate.
Okay.
So, law number 3, if your dating partner uses
Or abuses.
or abuses alcohol, prescription medication, illegal drugs, or mood altering substances of any kind, break up.
Interesting. Oh, it's just one cup of wine, one glass of wine. It's not going to harm anyone. It's never one glass of wine. It's always going to increase, right? It's going to increase. Or drugs. And you feel like, oh, they are just having this right now. Let me minister to them and they will become fine. I can help them. I can help them to come out of these drugs, illegal drugs, or whatever it might be, right? or mind or mood altering things, substance. There is so many things out there. I have no idea of their names or anything, but there are people who do that. How will you react to it? Here the author is saying, if you have someone, if you're dating a partner that uses or abuses alcohol, prescription medications, illegal drugs, or mind or mood altering substances of any kind, break up. You have the grounds to break up. But I think the $1,000,000 question is, are you wanting to come out of it, or are you wanting to be close and identify with them as well?
I think it's very important to understand here this law, it's basically saying uses and abuses, not only like something that it's needed really for medical purposes, but more like a way of numbing or escaping responsibility, spiritual maturity. So we're talking here from a Christian perspective as well, and from a perspective of we want a relationship that is healthy and secure by God's grace. We all have issues. We all need to work on our different things, but are we numbing our pain, our issues with drugs of different kinds? Can be many times over-the-counter drugs just to numb and make us zombies, or like forget are we really letting God work in us and heal us, or looking for ways that truly will bring restoration? So it's very important to realize that when we are looking for a partner for marriage, we need to be in the right place, and someone else also needs to be in the right place emotionally, so we can build something good together. If not, yes, we all are worthy of being loved, and God wants to help us all, but we highly believe that we can't be the savior from someone. And so that savior syndrome or pity syndrome can lead us to get into the wrong relationships at the wrong time, because that person might need time to heal, not time to just be pampered or saved by someone. And so that can kind of reduce the ability to keep growing for the other person. So that's why it's advisable, break up. Let your journeys build up to a more stable place where then you can build a healthy relationship. So,
absolutely. But there is also another type of thing that we have seen people tend to do, and that is they have their own issues. Let's say they are into alcohol abuse, right? They are alcoholics and they are drinking a lot of alcohol, but then they want their partners to not do those things or take drugs and whatnot. You know what I mean? So they have their personal bias with that. They are okay with drinking alcohol, being an alcoholic, but they expect others to be perfect. And that is not right either. That's why I asked that question, like, how does that work? You should be clean and you should expect the other person to be clean as well. If you find out, you have the right to move on. You have the right to break up. Now, let's say you have been into a relationship for 2 years and then you find out that they are alcoholics or they are whatever, drug addicts. How do you deal with that situation? How would you deal with the situation? I mean, yes, 2 years of relationship, but then I would see more of like, number one, this person tried to deceive me, pretending as though they have not drunk. Now I found out that they are doing these things, or maybe even they confessed. But either way, it feels like, for me personally, it feels like they have hidden a lot of things from me, right? And
so there's deception going on, and that's not good.
That's a huge red flag for me. I would actually break up with them, because I don't know what else will you do after marriage either.
And if maybe we started and then I decided to change my lifestyle, but the other person doesn't, and I want to wait for them and be patient. But the best is many times to allow more individuality, not kind of the waiting for the person to change, but give more space and wait on the Lord, not on the person to change.
That's a very good point. Don't wait on the people, right? Sometimes when we are love stricken, that's what happens. We are really hopeful. We are really expecting. We are really praying, God, please change them. I'm willing to work with them, and please help them to change, help them to quit, help them to come out of this, from this bondage, break free from this. I'm willing to wait. But how long are you going to wait? It's an indefinite wait. So it is better to break up. If they change in the future and you're still single, that's a different story. But you cannot be waiting indefinitely expecting the other person to change in their life.
Yeah.
Law number 4. If your dating partner is physically...
One more thing before we go there, because this law, the number 3, also includes other addictions. So the point is more addictions. Like it continues, it can be drugs, alcohol, but there are other type of addictions that also are very destructive, like sex addiction, gambling, video games. Many things can become an addiction and will impact a family. So are we honest with each other? Are we looking to get out? Are we making changes? If we know there are those addictions in one or the other or both of us, and we are not coming to God, looking for help and working on it with God's grace, then this can really be a destruction of a marriage, a relationship, but even more a marriage and children and everything. So it's very important not to take it lightly.
Yeah.
Any addiction. So basically point number 3 is if there are addictions that are not dealt with and being worked on, break up, because it will damage everything else. So
Now, I have a question. I know this is an on-spot question. We did not plan on this. What if someone is struggling? They have recognized their issue and they are struggling. They want to come out of it, but they are still struggling. What would be your advice for the partner? Should they continue to be in the relationship? Should they wait for them to come out of it, or you still break up?
I guess it depends the addiction and the level of struggling. Because
what would be your point? I'm not asking like a counseling or coaching session. What would you do if you are in that situation? How would you respond?
if I know there is an addiction going on and the person is struggling, how long have they been working on? What type of support are they getting? Because struggling without clear ways to move forward, so that would kind of give an understanding. If the person still might be struggling with something, but they are more in the moving forward stages and seeing making changes, seeing
Progress.
victories. Like, we all are in different ways struggling in this world of sin and with our weaknesses, so there's going to be no perfection. But if it's let's say an alcoholic and they're still struggling with drinking here and there, I would want them first to find freedom in that before we continue the relationship, at least for a certain period of time, and seeing that commitment not only for me but for them.
So will it be like you will have a pause in the relationship, or you will still
Pause.
continue the
I don't
relationship?
believe in pauses because they're very, I would say we will separate our ways, give each other space, let the person take time for them, because it's not about us, it's their journey, their spiritual journey with God, and find freedom in the Lord in that, and then see where God leads. So kind of let it go.
Break up, and then I see your point. Okay. Okay.
Because just to wait is a pressure that it's not, I think, advisable, because you are waiting for the person feels like, oh, they're waiting for me to get better. So it's more like give time and let the person work on it. Again, it depends the type of addiction, is if it's
How intense it is.
Yes.
And for how long they've been struggling.
some things are big, like sex addiction, gambling, video games, like, you know.
A lot of them have destroyed families,
Yes.
lives.
So you may have a weakness in that, but have you find freedom in the Lord at least for some time. That would be important to know. If not, do we even believe God can give us freedom? So it's something to consider.
So during this waiting phase, I'm just asking these questions for you to answer, and just so that if there is someone that is in the same page or in the same phase, they will be able to understand, or they will have an idea. So that's why I'm asking those questions. And of course, if you have any questions, you can ask me as well.
I actually went through similar situations, but I was not into our relationship, but considering, and there were things going on with addiction and just drinking and different things like that. And I was like, maybe I can love this person fully and be patient and show Christ's love and be the best girlfriend and even the best wife and forgive them and accept them, and even if they're drunk and this and that. But then I started to ask myself, what should I do? I want to be like Christ, but is this advisable? And I was reading and trying to find counsel, and it was very clear from one of my favorite devotionals, the Adventist or Christian Home. There was a section talking about things we should consider as a lady for a guy specifically. And one of it was we should not even one that disrespects God or even puts one glass of wine or alcohol into their mouth, that should be disqualified. And that gave me my answer. So they might be struggling. They might be wanting something else. Okay, wait until that else is there. And if not, I couldn't be involved in that because I would only damage them more with the ups and downs, me more with this whole situation. So yeah, one thing is saving someone. Another thing is marrying someone. And marriage is not to save someone per se, but is to bless someone and work together. So there's very, very unique cases, especially for those that are already married, that God calls them to be that light and blessing when those addictions appear in marriage. God doesn't say just, divorce because that's there. But we should be more aware and looking when we are planning to date someone or marry someone.
Wow. Very interesting. Anyway, we can move to the next law because I thought law number 3 is going to be a little shorter than the first two, but that took more than the first two. Law number 3 took more than the first two. Anyway, law number 4, if your dating partner is physically, sexually, or verbally abusive, break up. That's amazing. I think that shouldn't even be like a specific point. It's clear.
Should be a given.
Yeah, it should be a given. And you shouldn't have to be even wondering if I should be in this relationship or not. Any type of abusive relationship, you just come out of it. Someone trying to control your situation, someone trying to make you their puppet, someone is trying to make things that you don't approve of, and they want you to do things that you don't approve of. It is a very given.
And we have some other episodes or talks on abuse specifically, but it can come in very different forms. Sometimes very nice and flowery, but it's trying to abuse, sometimes with guilt, manipulation, trying to abuse. So we just need to be aware and not fall into those tactics, but understand that whatever it's pushing, and then it will come into law number 5. I think that's a very important one. It goes hand in hand, abuse and boundaries.
Boundaries, yeah. Law number 5, before you date, know how far is too far. And this is on boundaries, as Debbie shared. And there is a lot of information that the author has put in here. Different things, especially he's focusing on sexuality, setting boundaries. I think sexuality or sexual stuff is more vital, especially in this current day and age, than other things. But I think there should be other boundaries set as well, because we have spoken about this again in the previous episode, specific to boundaries. Like, if you don't set boundaries, no one else is going to set boundaries. But then you, in the beginning of the relationship, you don't set boundaries, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I need to set my boundary because I'm not able to breathe, I'm not able to eat, I'm not able to do my chores. None of those things are coming into place, and then you're starting to set boundaries, and the other person is going to feel like, hey, all these days, weeks, months, or maybe even years, you were doing whatever I shared and you were so open. Why are you setting boundaries all of a sudden? So it is very important for us to set boundaries even before you start dating. That is what the author here is trying to say. What I can say is that you must set those boundaries before you date. When you're in a moment of romance or passion, it's too late to make that decision because you cannot undo it immediately. It's going to be really hard to undo that part.
So what to do if someone is like, oh, if you love me, you wouldn't set this boundary?
Yeah, I think he has written about that part as well here. Let's see if I'm able to find it. Okay, yes. Some say things like, if you love me, you let me. And then there's only one appropriate response. This is what the author is saying. There's only one appropriate response to such an idiotic statement. If you love me, you won't push me to violate a boundary that's important to me.
That's it.
That's it.
That nailed it.
Yes, because basically it goes both ways, right? One person is saying, oh, if you love me, you will let me. But the other person has the right to say, if you love me, you respect my boundary. Why don't you let me, why don't you respect what I believe in, what my core value is?
And if you want someone that would let you, then go and find that person that is fine with whatever you want. We cannot force someone to think like us.
Exactly.
So that we're okay. So if you feel pushed or if you feel manipulated, well, oh, you don't love me, then watch out, because that might be disrespect, and that might be really pushing boundaries, and you need to be very, very careful with those things. So people might not understand or not fully agree with your boundary, but they have to respect if they truly love you. If not, it's a sign that it's more selfish motives and not truly love and respect. So that very important law, set your boundaries early on.
Absolutely.
And be very clear. I'm working with a client, and she was mentioning, like, when should I set my physical boundaries? Like, from the first date, I was like, you should, especially if it's a clear date, you're meeting for the first time, you don't really know what the other person thinks or wants. You need to be clear where you stand. If you know each other from before, you kind of understand how you think, maybe you don't have to, from the first get-go, these are all my boundaries. But if you are on online dating sites and all of that, you need to make it very clear before that first visit, because someone might have no boundaries and you need to be clear of your boundaries. And that will protect the longevity, the quality, the health of the relationship long term. And if it's someone that is not interested in longevity, health, and quality, they will just get upset, run away, just not be interested in that relationship.
And that makes it very clear that it's not meant to be. They are not your
Let them go.
partner.
You don't even have to break up. But this is a very important aspect. And this book is more talking about if you already are entangled with someone, you should let go and break up, move on.
Yeah, but here also, as I read it before, he does talk about that. When what I can say is that you must set those boundaries before you date.
Yeah.
So basically, before
ideal.
you get into the relationship, you set boundaries. But if you're in the relationship and you're trying to set boundaries, the other person is going to feel like, oh, maybe there is a point where people might be learning in the process. You might not have had any boundary before, but now you're learning to set boundaries and you're still in the relationship. I think it's still okay to set your boundaries, even though you didn't set it before because you were ignorant of it. But now you're not ignorant of it, so you can set your boundary. And it gives an opportunity for you to see your partner if they are respectful of what you
It's important to
see.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's important to explain if the person is coherent and not super selfish, it's important to say, this and this is important because of this. And the other person might agree or not fully agree, but at least you make clear why. So it's not completely like from the blue, I don't want this and that anymore. But these are the reasons why.
Explain.
And
Yeah.
the person might totally understand and be like, you have a point. I also would like that. Or I don't see it like that, but I will respect you. And that will say a lot of the person. So, what are the dangers, especially when we talk about physical boundaries and sexual type of boundaries? What are the implications, not only the dangers, but what should be our mindset to even desire those boundaries?
In terms of not having sex or in general?
In general, I mean, sex nowadays, there's many activities that are sex related, but that is not necessarily intercourse per se. So, in general, why would we want to have boundaries around that?
Because I think it is our core value, right? It is our
But
core
why
value.
is it our core value? I guess what I'm trying to say is, can we share with the audience why is this valuable to us, or why it could be a valuable thing for someone else?
Valuable as I'm trying to understand.
Okay,
the
okay.
question.
Maybe I'll share a little bit from my side. So I know for me, this was something important, not just because you can get sexually transmitted diseases, or because it can be damaging in whatever way physically, but also emotionally. The more you are giving, the more complicated later on might be. And I guess for me, it was always having the hope and in front of my mind, my future husband. That was something that would always try to keep me like, I want to be the best for him one day. And so if as human beings, we lose that hope that one day we will get married or that we will have that person, it can lead us to feel like, let me enjoy the moment, let me enjoy with whoever
They become
it's
desperate.
there, because I might never get to enjoy this. Or what I'm trying to say is there's many myths about sexuality that leads us to be more free in that area. The myth of, maybe you'll never get married, so just have fun, think on the moment. The other one might be like, you need to be experienced. You should try. You should know how things work. If not, you're not going to be really accepted later on in a marriage.
And the other one that I've constantly heard before, even back in India, is that what if you save yourself, but the other person is not? It's like experienced. So then all the times you have saved yourself is gone in vain.
Imagine. So all of those, and this is what I was trying to bring it up too. Things we believe will lead us to act from a point of whatever is our belief system. So if our belief system is like, everyone is doing it, there's no one really not doing it, so we all need to be super experienced, then we are going to act according to it.
Yeah, and also the other downfall to it is we are going to be emotionally entangled with them even more than when you're not sexually active with them. So it really makes it hard for you to break up. It's not like you just, things didn't work out, we'll have to break up. And it basically, what I'm trying to say is, it is not going to be as easy to break up because you're now entangled. And what if there is a baby formed in the way, and the poor baby has to suffer two people that were not mature enough to hold off, and that things didn't work. And if they join together in a marriage, that's one thing. But if they do not join together and they are going to find different partners or marry different people, the child is going to suffer, right? We already have enough issues with the breakage in the family, broken families. Everywhere you turn around, there is broken family. In fact, when I came from India to the US, I was very kind of like timid in that aspect because I felt like, I don't know how I'm going to say, because as I shared before, in my experience, not in my experience, in my life, my father left us even before I was born. So it was kind of very shameful thing for me to share. But when I came to the US, almost every single friend that I made, every single classmate, almost, I'm not saying everyone, almost every single person that I met with, that I had, that was my colleague or that was my classmate, they were from a broken family. And that has become a norm. Why do we have to live in that type of society? We can change. The change starts from us. It looks like the whole world, at least in my view, it looks like the whole world views marriage, divorce, broken family as the norm, and that is how the life to live. At one point, there should be someone realizing that, hey, this is not right. This is not the way we should be living. Let's have a different type of society where marriages, family, healthy families are supposed to be the normal type of living. But it was kind of weird for me to see and experience all those things. So, yeah.
So sometimes there's different circumstances and reasons why people go through different things, but many times when we build our patterns in our youth and in our choices that are more like careless leads to a more careless than marriage and more open doors to other possibilities and experiences and comparisons and everything that is unhealthy for a healthy marriage. So
Yeah.
keeping all of those things in mind, our emotional attachment and then detachment and comparison and burden and all of that, health-wise and diseases, plus instead of thinking on what I won't have, I won't get married, I won't find someone that didn't have experience, I won't, think what if I do? What do I really want for my life?
Yeah.
And that will help you to make choices with more empowerment and not just lack and settling for whatever comes.
I have gone through that where I share and never understood. And even when we go to counseling, there are people, the counselors don't understand what I'm trying to say. They are just stuck with their own thing, only one way. And if it has to go the other way, it is not right.
Like not making an effort to understand and using what I think I understand to try to prove my point. So those are other dysfunctions. That is not just miscommunication actually, but it's lack of understanding.
Acknowledging what they say. They don't even have to accept it, but acknowledge what the other person is saying. That makes a huge difference, because the second you acknowledge, it also makes you to think, okay, so this is what they're going through. Maybe I'm going through something incorrectly.
So then you have less to work with, because already meeting someone else, learning how to communicate, understanding their past, their baggage, plus mine, it will already be a lot. Plus your wounds that have nothing to do with a relationship will add so much more heaviness.
Jesus is indeed Lord. But how can we say that Jesus is Lord if we haven't accepted His Lordship in every area of life? So it's easy to say it, but it is hard to accept it. There is a difference between saying and accepting.